An eye on what's happening in California because power shutoffs are happening once again in the southern part of the state. With high winds raising the risk of live wires sparking wildfires, you've got utility companies cutting off power to more than 1 million customers, or at least that's the plan right now. Here to provide us with some more insight on what's happening in Southern California is Bloomberg's clean energy and tech reporter, David Baker. It has been a rough couple of months for California, David. The state is also in a drought on top of the pandemic and the historic wildfires. And it wasn't so long ago that you had that period where the skies were orange because of the wildfires, blocking out the sun completely. I believe you called it the day of the orange sky back on September 9th. What do we know about this idea of cutting off power in order to prevent wildfires? Does it actually work?
It's kind of a desperate measure, but it does appear to work, although it is not foolproof. It's not a fail-safe. But the utility companies started doing this increasingly over the last couple of years because their equipment kept sparking really devastating wildfires in the midst of windstorms. You get these powerful winds that would whip up, sometimes knock the lines to the ground into dry grass, or sometimes blow tree limbs into them, and they would touch off these wildfires, including the deadliest fire we've ever had in the state, the Camp Fire in 2018 that killed more than 80 people. So the utilities, under pressure from state regulators, started preemptively switching people off when they saw one of these windstorms developing. And it infuriates people. They absolutely hate this, but it does appear to work. I can think of only 2 big fires so far that we've had this year that may have been started by power lines. And the rest, by and large, have been touched off by lightning or other causes.
Right.
So, yeah, that appears to be results.
Including people, I believe, with gender reveal parties, shooting off things, fireworks and whatnot. And we were just seeing some of the pictures of the devastating effects from September. When the utilities shut off power, that's a big problem for people who are working from home, as so many people are, especially with all the tech companies in California. With 1 million residents at risk of losing power, talk through how that works, because people still have their livelihoods to think about.
It's a huge disruption, and it's one of the reasons why Generac and other companies that sell portable power generators have done great in California over the last year or so and are really ramping up their advertising here. Same with companies that sell solar arrays for your home paired with batteries last through a blackout. Those sales are doing great as well. But if you don't have that, you end up having to resort to other measures. One of our editors in the San Francisco office of Bloomberg has had to occasionally decamp to a hotel room in San Francisco because her home gets blacked out for a couple days at a time. As I said, it's absolutely infuriating to the people who have to live through this, but it is better than losing some of your neighbors in a fire, I suppose. Yeah,
of course. But at the same time, you wonder, how systematic do they go about making these decisions on when and to who they cut power off for? What protocols do the different utility companies have in place to help those who actually need power during these outages?
So first and foremost, it is the utility companies themselves that make that call. There is no state overlord saying this is when you can shut off power, this is when you're not shutting off power. The utilities, have to make that call as these windstorms develop. And you'll find what they do is, starting several days in advance, their own in-house meteorologists will start raising red flags saying, hey, we think we could have a windstorm coming up on Thursday or Friday. And they'll keep eyeing it as it gets closer. When it looks like it's pretty certain that it's going to be bad, the utility companies will usually or 2-day notice to the customers that may get blacked out. They'll start posting notices on their website saying, hey, we think we may need to switch off the power on this day in this area. And they'll refine that as they get closer to the event. But, it's very much driven by the weather, and sometimes they end up knocking out people they weren't entirely expecting to. As a result, you'll find that they tend to overestimate at the start how many people they could hit so that they don't surprise people in the end. They usually end up knocking out power to fewer than they warn in the first place.
Okay, and that's about the time that people start to look for hotels as well to go work in. David, thank you so much. David Baker is Bloomberg's clean energy and tech reporter, and he'll keep us posted on what happens in California.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quicktake now for insight in an instant.